Month after Brad Pitt's child abuse allegations became headline news, Brad sees his eldest son, Maddox, for the first time. Here's the question, though. Can their strained relationship be fixed?
Yeah, well, you know, the 15-year-old has always been by Angelina's side through the ups and the downs. And tonight, we go inside their unique bond as we break down the #1 tracking story, Maddox in the middle.
Brad Pitt has met with his son, his eldest son, Maddox, for the first time since the kind of airplane incident back on September 14th. We're told that they actually met on Wednesday, that they kind of had a very brief meeting at an undisclosed location. As far as we understand, it was Brad and Maddox and then a kind of moderator therapist that has been assigned by Child Services.
An important step in healing their fractured father-son bond. TheDailyMail.com's Charlie Langston explains how Brad's reunion with Maddox occurred a day after Angelina and the kids were interviewed by the FBI.
The FBI visited Angelina and her children at Angelina's Malibu home. 2 FBI agents were present. They spoke to Angelina and all of her children about what went down on the jet, exactly what happened. We understand that there is no official investigation yet. The FBI have been very clear to kind of specify that this is a fact-finding mission that they were on.
There's no question Maddox and Angelina have an ironclad bond. He is the only of the 6 children to be born and adopted by Jolie prior to her relationship with Brad.
It's actually magic here. I just stepped out of the middle of chanting, and I don't think I've ever been so calm in my entire life.
The journey to adopting Maddox started while shooting 2001's Lara Croft Tomb Raider in Cambodia. It was at that time Jolie said she had a spiritual awakening.
I've never loved a place so much. I've never felt so happy.
Still married to Billy Bob Thornton at the time, the next year Angelina traveled back on a mission to adopt. She would later tell Barbara Walters about that moment.
Maddox was the last child I saw, and he was asleep. And they put him in my arms and he stayed asleep. And then he opened his eyes and he smiled. And I cried and felt like this kid is okay being in my arms and he accepts me.
The adoption went through in 2002. Months later, Angelina and Billy Bob would divorce.
Billy and I just became very different people, and that was before Maddox even came home. And by the time Maddox came home, we were kind of living apart.
Do you consider Billy Bob to be Maddox's father?
I'm not going to answer that.
For a while, it was just the 2 of them. And during that time, Maddox certainly exhibited a protective streak. In this vintage clip of the 2 during a trip back to Cambodia, she proudly carries her son in front of reporters. But when giving a soundbite to camera, watch him smack the microphone away.
I think I'll never get married again. Having a child now would mean that this person would become a father to my son. I don't want to have a temporary father for my son.
That would all change 2 years later when she met Brad. He ultimately adopted Maddox, and in the next 10 years, the family of 8 were always a picture-perfect united front, making the split all the more shocking.
Sources close to Angelina have been really clear. She wants her children to have a full-time father figure and, you know, for their lives to continue on in as ordinary a way as possible.